Now I can say afternoon. The visiting squads, the Brownsville Rivera Lady Raiders, taking on the Sharyland High School Lady Rattlers. Want to thank everyone for tuning in to some more softball here on Real Sports Live. Again, we are coming to you live from the Port Isabel Los Fresnos tournament. Bert Ruiz to my right, manning the camera. We are out here in center field on a beautiful afternoon for some softball. Let's get things underway. Let's meet the starting lineup for the Sharyland Lady Rattlers. Leading things off, number 17, Ariana Garcia. Batting second, Sofia Ilas. Batting third, Lexi Munio. Batting fourth, Tristan Maddox. Batting fifth, Alyssa Silva. Batting fifth is Alyssa Silva. Batting sixth is Alexis Silva. Batting seventh, Star Fonseca. Batting eighth, Giselle Salinas. Batting ninth, Marisol Gonzalez. That's the starting lineup for the Sharyland Lady Rattlers. Again, Garcia, Ilas, and Murillo, the top three in the order. That's the starting nine for the Lady Rattlers. We'll get into the starting defense here in just a minute. And we are underway from Port Isabel. So right out of the gate, Garcia gets ahead in the count. 2 balls, no strikes. Ariana Lezama, the starting pitcher for Brownsville Rivera. That pitch misses. Low for ball 3. Rochelle Guerra doing the catching for the Lady Raiders. Top of the first inning. That's in for a called strike 1. First strike of the afternoon for Lizama. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Game 2 on the schedule here at Port Isabel High School. Swung on, ground ball right back to Lizama and an easy 1-3 put out. 4 out, number 1. Garcia is retired. Salas now comes to the plate, batting second in the order. Murillo batting third. That pitch fired in for a called strike 1. Let's meet the middle infield for Brownsville Rivera. Starting shortstop, Bethany Guzman. Playing second base, Nelly Saldovar. That pitch missing for ball 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. That's the middle infield. On the corners, Irma Valdez starting at third base. And Lauren Ramirez over at first. It's corner infield. That pitch in the dirt gets past the catcher, Guerra. 2 balls, 1 strike. Joey Rios will be joining us shortly. The head coach of the Lyford Lady Bulldogs. They're here somewhere. It's a beautiful afternoon. Good thing is there's no heat, so these kids can just kind of lay out and hang out. That ball's hit for out number 2. So 2 down in the inning. Casey Menchaca was there to make the grab. She's the starting left fielder. On the F7, Lexi Murillo comes to the plate. Leisha Isaguirre is the starting left fielder. And Leama Cruz, the starting center fielder. So Cruz, Menchaca, and Isaguirre, the starting outfielders for the Rivera Lady Raiders. That pitch in for a called strike. We went ahead and went with Mia Wettergrove for our Hacienda She Has It player of the game. Swing and miss. For strike two, Coach Joey Rios on his way. We're going to go ahead and stay on board once we get to the middle half of the inning. Get this headset ready for Coach here. Two strikes. Coach Rios joining us. What's going on?
Good afternoon, everybody.
That pitch missing for a ball. So Coach Joey Rios of the Lyford Lady Bulldogs joining us as promised. And Coach, what's going on?
Oh, nothing much. Enjoying the beautiful weather and a great day of softball.
Yeah, you talk about the weather. That was the one thing we mentioned when we were coming up here. Is the weather was beautiful and way much better than last week. I think a week ago today was Thursday, right? So
yes, sir.
we were stuck in the rain, and that tournament really got derailed by the weather. So what'd you guys do Thursday after all?
We actually drove out and turned right back around and came back home.
Oh, jeez, all the way from Lyford all the way to Mission. Wow.
Yes, sir.
So how did you guys, coaches, how do y'all handle that? As far as your game plan goes and your pitching, does it alter anything, or how does that work?
Absolutely, especially having powerful pitching, rotations and things like that. We try and work out to the best of our situations, the best scenarios. We do have girls that are multi-sport athletes, track and things of those nature. So we try and just move things around and hope for the best. Especially the weather's a factor. We change our rotation and we're able to do that on the dime.
The 2-2 popped up, should be playable, and making the grab for out number 3 is Lazama. So a 3 up, 3 down. We're going to go ahead and stay on board. We're going to talk softball here with Coach Rios as we head to the bottom of the first inning. So, Coach, talk to us about the Lyford Lady Bulldogs. And I know it's early in the season, but one thing we were talking about when you guys are playing was just the order and how dangerous it is when pitchers make mistakes. They walk the ninth girl, you flip the order over, or we saw where Port Isabel walked girls with 2 outs, and then you give the top of the order where I feel you guys have a lot of speed with Hannah and with Haley, and then you get to the middle of the order with Tiffany and Jerica, and just a lot of speed and power.
Yes, sir. That's the approach, obviously, and I don't know if you noticed this, but we go left or go right-handed batter, left-handed batter.
You did, and I mentioned that. Righty-lefty, I mentioned that, right.
We try and mix it up, obviously, against very competitive teams where we try to keep them, especially the pitchers, keep them off balance as much as possible. We rely on making pitchers miss and we execute on the missed pitch. But it is a blessing. We are highly favored with the amount of talent we have on this team, and obviously the girls put the work in and do all the little things right, so that always helps.
Yeah, and we saw that where you guys you won 4-0 on Tuesday, and I felt that was a little uncharacteristic as far as the offense goes, because we're used to seeing you guys score some runs, and then I felt that it was a good thing for you guys to score 3 runs right off the bat in that first inning to kind of give you guys some energy.
Correct. We know we definitely feed off our energy. We feed off our first inning, and we play from there. I think sometimes, as a team, we get a little complacent sometimes, and we're okay with the 3 and 4 runs, and with the pitching that we have. Sometimes it is enough, but when you play great competition, sometimes that isn't enough. And we found that out last year. Postseason, we walk a batter, and next girl comes up, hits a home run. We're down 2-0 in a hole, and it can come back to haunt us later on. But we're trying to fix that. That's definitely something we're focusing on. And it's all part of the process, and we're definitely just trying to get to where we need to be.
And of course, this is the most experience you've had in your time here at Lyford, and I think that's starting to show with some of the older girls, like Jerica and Jessica, and even Mia. We'll talk about her in a little bit. She's just a sophomore, but these younger girls already have that long playoff experience. So the bottom half of the inning, first pitch in for a called strike 1. Let's get the starting order for Brownsville Rivera. Leading off, Bethany Guzman. Batting second, Rochelle Guerra. Batting third, Ariana Lezama, excuse me. That pitch outside for ball 1. So, Coach, in case you're wondering if we ever lose track of the count, this is what it looks like. We're controlling the balls and strikes, the outs, the score of the inning, monitoring this, of course, and then keeping book and then talking.
Wow.
So Joe calls it it's as if you're flying you're flying a plane, and every now and then again I'll be caught up in talking, and then I'll look up and it'll be 3-1, and I have it at 2-1. So it's a bit of a process, but it just goes with the flow of the game, and the game kind of just plays out itself.
I tell you what, y'all do a great job at it. Being able to manage all these little things and just having the pleasure of sitting back here with y'all, seeing
Oh
how
yeah.
it works. Y'all do a great job making sure you cover every sport all the way across the valley. That's a kudos to you, fellas.
Yeah,
Y'all do a great job for us.
we have some playoff basketball lined up tomorrow. I know that's a ball 4. The leadoff girl is on, and then Joe hotkeyed this to where each here is you also manage the girls on base across the board here. So
Nice.
it's a bit of a chore, but I tell you what, once you get the hang of it, like I said, it flows with the game. Rochelle Guerra, now the batter, batting second in the order. It's in for a called strike 1. So, Coach, we talked about today and how the challenges you have with Sharyland up next at 2 o'clock? 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock. And then tomorrow, we feel that tomorrow is where the heavy hitters come in. When we start talking about Divine, we talk about Sinton. You guys have Rio Hondo, and then you guys also have Los Fresnos.
Yes, sir.
So just talk about this tournament and entering this tournament again. I know you guys were in it last year. You guys went unbeaten in last year's tournament, and just the competition that you guys are going to be facing, and just this tournament in general.
Oh, I think this is a great tournament. I think Coach Blackman does a great job being able to, to get teams to come out, especially out of the valley, come down and play some great competition down here. It's all good, healthy competition, especially early on. Being able to, like you said, face the teams that are in there, the Rio Hondos, the Los Fresnos. Now you have Sharyland in it, which is a first for me. I think it's exciting to play those type of teams, especially the caliber they bring to the plate. So that's always exciting for us. And we have beefed up our schedule this year, so we're up for the challenge. Our approach is sink or swim, and hey, we're going to face adversity, and the games that are thrown at us, we're going to do our very best at that. So we're excited for it.
One down in the inning. Zama now the batter. Fly ball. That's going to be falling for a fair ball. That's going to be a base hit. Runner's going to advance to second and third. Now Lizama got ahead of the curve there. She's lucky to slide back into second safely. Runners will be on second and third. Lizama was almost caught up to the runner. She did catch up to the runner at third. What'd you see there, Coach?
Oh, she wasn't sure. The lead runner wasn't sure if the ball was going to get down or not. She made her turn. The batter was just she was moving. She was moving.
Now runners on second and third. Rivera's offense chucking early. Kenya Ibarra now the batter, batting fourth in the order. That's in for a called strike 1. Second and third, 1 out. Ibarra the batter, Irma Valdez waiting in the on-deck circle.
Oh, chased it.
Chased that one upstairs for strike 2. No balls, 2 strikes. Runners on second and third. That one's fouled back. Talk about Mia Wettergrove and how she's developed. She's just a sophomore, and it seems that she got some weight on her. She put some muscle on her.
She has been working out. She did put on a great offseason. Her summer, she definitely was intentional with it and being able to do the little things right. And you can see it. And I tell these girls, hey, hard work pays off. And especially, being able to have a great leader ahead of her in Jerica Rojas, and being able to coincide and collaborate together and seeing things from the circle, their perspectives. It's interesting to hear them, chit-chatting what they see. And you'll see Jerica walk over from third every now and then and say, hey, she's crowding or she's doing this, that, or the other. And it's interesting to see them, work together. It's amazing.
To be a fly on the wall for that conversation. That sounds like fun to me. The two brilliant minds, and I know when the season does end, will you see it as a passing of the torch from Jerica onto Mia?
Oh, absolutely. Mia, because like you mentioned earlier, she's a sophomore, but she's really stepped up. Good play, good hustle. She's really stepped up and taken that role, and having a great 1-2 punch within both of them combined. It's very humbling for me, and just like I mentioned earlier, just seeing them grow and trust the process. it's amazing for us. We're favored, and I appreciate that.
That is a, yeah, no, you are loaded with talent. There's no doubt about that. That's going to be call it a 2-run double. I'd call that a hit. Idema Valdez now the batter at the 2-0 Rivera lead. Here in the bottom of the first inning. First pitch swinging. Checking the runner over to first. In and out of the glove. Runner's going to advance to third. So Ibarra will be safe on third. Call that an E3. Valdez will be on first. Runners on the corners for Brownsville Rivera. It's a 2-0 lead. First pitch upstairs for ball one. Still one down in the inning. Runners both in scoring position. Lauren Ramirez the batter. Casey Menchaca in the on-deck circle. Is that in for a called strike?
I think it was a ball.
That one just missed outside. And the scoreboard's here to our left. Can't exactly see it from where we're at. Here's the 2-0. That's in for a called strike. That was outside. That one just about half of the plate outside, more or less.
That was in the other batter's box.
Really?
Especially from this view.
Yeah, Ramirez batting from the left-handed side of the plate. That one looked just a bit outside. Here's the 2-1. Swing and miss for strike two. So I've had conversations with coaches over the last few weeks, Coach, and just talking about where softball is at in the Valley. And it's always a fun conversation on seeing where these teams have gone, where these teams are going. And for a while there, I felt we got spoiled with San Benito making their runs in 13 and 15. And then we saw West Laco make that run in 16, and then Rio Hondo region final in 2017. And from 2017 till now, I was talking to Coach Richard Tressler from Edinburgh North. I personally felt the Valley maybe had taken a step back as far as the playoff runs go, because to me, we reached the third round. That's a norm. We reached the Sweet 16. That's a norm. That's great. It's it's expected. So where do you feel softball's at in the Valley, and just how close we are to that team making that state run again?
Well, we have some great tough districts, especially our upper class. Our 5A, 6As. We're getting to third rounds, fourth rounds, and we end up facing each other down the road. And it's like, hey, the best of the best, which is a good thing, because being able to see the Valley teams, come out and compete, that's always great. Now when we get to our 3As and 4As, now we're saying, hey, now we got to go out and face some tougher talent. Obviously, you see state defending champs within Santa Gertrudis and things like of those nature. But for the most part, the Valley's has really grown and is really taking that step forward. You can say I guess we are kind of sputtering our wheels a little bit, but we're hoping to break that barrier and hopefully open up the floodgates for that. And we just definitely want to represent the Valley to the best of our ability.
Yeah, and again, like I said, we had those teams reach the state tournament. San Benito doing it twice, and we did it. They did it back-to-back years, and then Rio Hondo was a game or two away against Beeville Jones in the region final. But I feel that Coach Tressler and I both felt that the athletes are there, the hitting is there, the fielding is there. It just comes down to having that dominant pitcher. And last year we saw, again, Rio Hondo with Erica Cortez. Yes. They had that dominant pitcher. They reached the Sweet 16. Edinburgh Vela reached the Sweet 16, Harlingen South. But then you run into a girl like Aaliyah Pritchett, who's going to Baylor.
Yes.
Before that, they had Brooke Vestal, who was at Oklahoma. It's just a whole different beast, a whole different animal.
It is. Pitching, like I said, it goes a long way. And being able to be disciplined at the plate, it's tough to do. And as a coach, you definitely – you have the confidence, the world of confidence in your players, and at the same time, but when you're facing a dominant pitcher, you really have to rely on just simply playing the game. Whether that's reverting to small ball or sticking to your guns and say, hey, we're gonna take a hack at it every chance we get, and kind of like Astros softball. You like that first pitch, jump on it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we're not banging on trash cans or anything like
No.
that. But
For the record, we're both Astros fans,
yes,
and we're not
sir.
ashamed of it. We're gonna sink and swim with the ship. But yeah, no, I feel that softball, talking about the popularity, I felt that it's really, really taken off, these last 5 to 10 years. And it's a beautiful thing where it's a small world where a lot of these girls know each other through travel ball. They
Yes.
played through the summers. They've spent time together through the summers and through the off season. And, everyone knows someone from some
One team or another.
one team or
Some,
another, right?
yeah. It's interesting you say that, because last week, being able to head out to that Mission Fast Pitch Festival, it was great. You see our girls walking around, or walking towards the field, or once we get there and they see their friends or teammates from other teams and things like that, having them stop and chit chat and just catch up simply just on life and obviously softball, but being able to see them have those relationships with other people, it's important, because it's not always about the game.
Right.
They're gonna become empowering women eventually, and that's our job as coaches, mine perspective anyways, to empower them and help them realize, hey, there's more to the world than just softball. But it's great to definitely be able to network and socialize with others. It's important.
Maddox reached on first on the error. Now they're going to have no play at first, so Maddox will advance to second. Alyssa Silva will be safe at first. So just like that, Sharyland has runners on first and second, with nobody out in the inning. Yeah, and that's one thing I did notice, because we were at y'all's game against Edinburgh North, and I was sitting next to y'all's dugout, and some of the other girls from PSG North were coming and asking if we were streaming their game, and the girls were calling her by name. They're like, no, so-and-so, like, go away. Like, they weren't able to get your game. But just to the point that they knew each other. We're talking about Lyford and PSG North.
Correct.
They know who each other are, and it's a pretty cool thing, to see all those teams. Unfortunately, the tournament didn't go the way we wanted it to.
Yes. We were kind of bummed about it. Obviously, I was just glad that we were able to get some games in and be able to see a live pitching and things of that nature. So it definitely helps, especially when you're playing some, a big venue like that, multiple fields, seeing different games going on. That's always good to see.
And then I was talking with Dana Wise before y'all's game that this was only their third game of the year, because they were in the Donna tournament, and they canceled that one from the get-go.
Yes.
At first thing in the morning, they didn't like the way the weather looked, and they were stuck without games. So I'm sure
Friday
that's
turned out to be beautiful.
Friday and Saturday. It got a little chilly, but it ended up being well. And they could have taken a page out of the Mission playbook, and that was just to make it making it a round robin.
Yes, I had Coach Daryl Gonzalez from La Feria. He gave me a call, said, "Hey, Coach, our tournament got canceled. Can you help me find a game? Can we do this, that, or the other?" So absolutely. So I'm not sure if he pulled one out after all or not, but he did reach out and ask if I could help him out in that. And it's always great to be able to keep in contact, especially with Coach Gonzalez, especially him being my first assistant a couple years back, my 1st years early on. So it's always good to have that.
We were also talking about the depth of your team. We saw some girls file in and just kind of just kept the line moving. Is this the deepest team you've had?
It sure is. It really is. Having those group, that senior core that's really, really strong, and the foundation is set for them, and everybody after that is very vital and has an extremely important role. These girls are learning to understand their role, and they're being intentional with it. They're taking it for what it's worth, and they're making the best of their opportunities. And I preach to these girls all the time, and I tell them, hey, I just want to be transparent with you. I want to let you know where I stand and what it is I'm looking for, what it is I expect from you, or I'd like to see from you, and whether they take that opportunity for what it's worth and make the best of it, it's solely up to them. But as you mentioned, we just have depth, and we can pick and choose a different approach at any moment, and that definitely is, like I mentioned, it's definitely a blessing. And as you saw earlier, our catcher was struggling a little bit at the plate, so I said, hey, you know what, we're gonna try something. We ended up pulling her out. She does a great job behind the plate, mind you, but we were able to put Haley Pena, which is a sophomore, we put her behind the plate, and we haven't seen her much back there, but she's still able to come in and get the job done with her stick leading off. That's still dangerous. Being able to bring in a different right fielder or second baseman, whatever the approach is, we can do those things, opposed to kind of being handcuffed and say, hey, I can only move one position and that's all I can do. No, we're able to do multiple things, and I tell my girls all the time, hey, you're a softball player. You play anywhere and everywhere. You don't just pitch, or you don't just play third. So they definitely take that to the right approach, and they do a great job with it.
Silva drew a bases loaded walk, nobody down in the inning. That pitch outside for a ball. Star Fonseca the batter. I'm glad you mentioned that because growing up, that's what I played, and I forget me shooting a basketball because I know when we're at basketball games, Joe likes to shoot a couple hoops, and
I
that's
saw him sink that one.
yeah, his first shot he sinks it. Meanwhile, a ground ball.
Ooh.
They're gonna go to third, and there is just a sticky situation. The bases loaded. The run's gonna score. Hard spot there for the second baseman.
When in doubt, get the out.
That happened too.
We
In
had
your
us-
game,
yeah, we had
your
a
shortstop.
situation. Yeah, she said, "Oh, sorry, coach. I don't know what I was thinking. I had a brain fart." I said, "We don't have time for brain farts."
Right.
I said, "Mind you, being up 9-1 or 9-2 at the time, I said, hey, we're gonna give up a run. We want the out. I'm not concerned who crosses the plate or what. We want the out." And she realized. She came in and said, "Coach, I'm sorry. I don't know what I was thinking." And, to me, that's progress. Knowing that she owned up and she came up and said, "Hey, coach, that was my fault. It won't happen again." I take that. To me, that's a victory in itself because she's able to understand and distinguish. Hey, she was wrong, and she can move on from it. To me, that's growth. I like that.
Right, and then on the flip side of that, I saw probably one of the better plays, and it doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but it's a 9-0 game, and you got a runner on third. The ball gets hit to Jerica at third. She checks the runner, keeps her there, then goes to first.
Correct.
I mean, she could have easily just gone with the out. I'll give you the run, but she didn't.
Yeah, and we were working something there. We were working something a little special there. Obviously, we wanted to keep her on as long as she can, and she knew if she bobbled, hey, when in doubt, get the out. She bobbled, and she was like, "Oh, okay, I got to get the out." And she looked at me. She was like, "Coach, I tried." I was like, "No, you did right. You got the out."
Yeah.
So she did great there. And, that just goes back to being a senior leader and
Right.
being a student of the game. Softball IQ is up, and
That's
she can do those things. That's a blessing on me because I don't
Right.
have to, constantly teach that. No, she knows.
Right, and that's exactly what I said. What a veteran move, and the reason it stuck out because it was a 9-0 game. You can give them that run
Mhm.
and get you can exchange the run for an out or whatever the case is. But no, she's like, I'm gonna watch
I'm
you.
gonna
You're
keep
not
you
gonna
home."
score. I'm gonna get the out. I'm gonna win either way. I was like that was just impressive. I was like, whew. Obviously, in a much closer game, that's exactly what you do. But the fact of the situation was. It's going to be another
There you go.
force out. So the runner is moving station to station here in just simple fundamental baseball, just the force out at home for the second out. But you're right, the softball IQ was definitely blinking there for old Jerica. It kind of dawned on me too that she's a senior this year, and I remember when she was a freshman when I first started covering you guys. She rolled in newcomer of the year,
Sure
and
did.
really just not only for the Star at that time, but she set the softball world on fire. And did you see that coming into when she started her career, or?
I had been able to catch a couple of games here and there, especially when she's in middle school. Obviously we're in season and other leagues are in season, things like that. But being able to, venture off and step out every now and then and pick up and watch a game or two and hearing, hey, you got to keep an eye on this girl. Hey, you got to keep an eye on that girl. And hey, you have this coming up. It's always good for us to know as coaches. Obviously, we'd like to know what our future looks like. But, hearing a couple waves here and there from her and knowing that she was going to be one of ours soon and still is, and this is going to be a bittersweet moment for us, but I think she's doing a great job for us. She definitely, like you said, shocked everybody and kind of set a tempo for us, and I think everybody that followed after her has been doing that as well. You have big players within Michaela Lopez. You have Haley Benya, Tiffany Alanis, who's doing a great job for us right now. So that definitely shows that, hey, they're following and they know, and hopefully the girls after them can do the same, and we keep the Lyford program to where it's at and where it's been before us, because we know everybody's been through. We try and hold the standard and keep everything for them, because without them setting the foundation, we have no us.
So Coach Joey Rios from the Lyford Lady Bulldogs joining us for the bottom of the second inning. So Rivera able to get out of a bit of a jam there.
Mm-hmm. Bases loaded. 2-1.
Yeah, bases loaded twice. They lead 2-1 here in the bottom half of the second inning. And then the one thing you do see is, I have conversations with one of my uncles who coached softball for a long time, is that you see these freshmen and sophomores, whether it's their first year on varsity as a freshman or a sophomore, they come onto the scene, they break out onto the scene, they set the world on fire, and then you just kind of see it level off.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see the kids where they break out freshman or sophomore year, and they only get better and they get better.
Correct.
And I believe those are the ones that we see, like the Jericas, the Joanna Gonzalez's, these girls that just maintain that, that consistency throughout
Yeah.
their career, and those are that take that next step. And it's all a matter of just putting in the work, really.
Correct. Yeah, and we talk about that. We talk about consistency and plateauing, and we don't want that. We definitely want to continue to break the threshold and keep peaking, because the sky's the limit for these girls, and they know that. And as long as we stay humble and we continue to feed them that, and continue to build their confidence and say, hey, you did this, but we're not there anymore. That's in the past. Now we got to do something else. And them, power to them and credit to them for being able to take that next step and say, okay, all right, I'm up for the challenge, coach. Let's do it. Hey, what do I got to do next? That, to me, is success. That's great.
2 balls, no strikes. Isaguirre leading things off. Saldivar second in the on-deck circle. 8-9-1, the order due up for Brownsville Rivera. That one's upstairs for ball 3. So, and of course, we're not done yet. Next week we have the San Benito tournament.
Oh, yes.
And, it's a hell of a way for you guys to get this non-district season going, just with stacked tournaments back-to-back. And that pitch finds a strike zone for strike 1. Have you seen the new field over at San Benito?
I have not. I have not seen it.
It's pretty snappy. They got stands above both dugouts. The stands are kind of like the way you see here. They're kind of built around. They put padding on the back. It's pretty sweet. It's a pretty sweet deal,
Nice.
and I think it's kind of overdue. I'm sure they've been itching for a new field. But San Benito is another tough out, and really, with Brownsville Rivera here, we can talk a little bit about District 32 6A. And it seems as almost every year we're kind of saying the same thing, that just how tough that district's going to be.
Yes.
And you'll get a glimpse of Reba Reyes, who, coach, I've said it publicly, I believe, in my opinion, pound for pound best player in the Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Just all around, the kid can just do it all. No disrespect to any other player, but that's just my opinion. And I've talked to other coaches that have agreed with that statement, just on how good she is and the things she can do for that team. But 31-6 or 32-6A should be pretty good, because we're seeing Harlingen. They haven't lost a game yet. They got a lot of youth. I know you guys played them early in the
Yeah,
year.
we scrimmaged them early on. You could definitely see growth in them, especially with new coach coming in and things like that. But the sky's the limit for them. They do have plenty of bright spots.
You got them. Then you got Elias Martinez, Harlingen
Mhm.
South, who you guys play them this year, and I
We sure do.
I have that game circled on the
March
calendar.
10th.
What's that?
March 10th.
March 10th. There you go. In case you're wondering, that's what, spring break.
That's the week before.
The week before?
Tuesday before, yes, sir.
Okay. There you go, and it's at Harlingen South, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so that'll be a great test for both teams. And what we talk about, the top teams in the Valley, but Lyford, Harlingen South, Westlaco, Vela. So we're gonna get those two of the top 5 teams for sure. They're gonna be going at it on March 10th. But San Benito, they did lose 5 seniors. Sarah Garcia, AJ Hasso, kind of the girls have been the mainstay for that program. They're all gone, so now we're kind of seeing a little bit of a turning of the tide with girls like Jalen Huerta and Kate Garza, Cari Cincinnati, some new girls, some new blood. But I remember I did a story on them last year that you just call it a pipeline on how they just funnel in girls, and it's just a softball factory where kids are
Yes.
just coming in and out of the program. It's as if they never missed a beat.
Mm-hmm. I think being a bigger classification, it's always easier that way.
Right.
And credit to the girls, for still putting in the work and wanting to have the passion for the sport, and just the game in itself, like that. That definitely shows that, hey, they want that. So having that program set and that foundation set is
Definitely.
definitely a big.
And
big
it's a
factor.
it's 6A, and it's a one school town. One thing that Coach Tressler brought up to me, that he made a very good point about the Edinburgh schools is, I'm from Edinburgh, so we have 4 high schools, and Edinburgh North, Edinburgh High, Edinburgh Vela, Economides. Before Vela came on board, Edinburgh High and Edinburgh North, they've had some serious softball
Yes.
teams. Edinburgh Vela comes in, they do the same. They pick up right where they left off. So just think about this for a second, Coach. If you're talking about maybe a two-school town or hell even a one-school town, how good would those Edinburgh schools be?
Oh,
Let's say two, like Harlingen South. If you have Edinburgh High, Edinburgh North, just how
definitely,
good?
definitely great competition. You know, being able to play against Edinburgh High and having them on our schedule, we've played them the past couple of years. They do a phenomenal job over there. I think their defense, their shortstop is great. She makes big plays for them. Coach does a good job over there. But having two schools, if they were limited to two schools, they would be stacked. And I think that's an understatement.
Yeah, I think so too. And I told Coach Tressel, I was like, I think we'd probably be at state every year, every other year, because just the softball talent that just gets pumped through there. And I did not think about that until he mentioned it to me. I was like, you're right. There's 4 high schools here. You're dividing up the talent. But if it were the other way around, we're talking about some serious softball.
Yes.
And another thing Coach Tressler had mentioned to me, because he started the program the fall of '96, the spring of '97 they started competing. Up until from the start of their program to 2007, the distance from the mound to the plate was 40 feet, and then now it's 43 feet. So he says he said it like it was funny because he said it like 5 times. It's a huge difference. How big of a difference is it from 40 to 43 feet?
Well, now you're talking, got to have more power, push off that front leg, back leg, depending what pitch you're throwing. Ball movement, now it's going to move a little more. If you're a big rise ball pitcher, or depending what you have in your pen, that ball can move 3 extra feet. It can break a little sooner, it can break a little later. Now you have options to do what you want, and you just pick your poison and go from there. But 3 feet is a lot.
Wow,
a big difference.
just 3 feet, and that's why when he was telling me, I'm like, it's just 3 feet. Like, how much of a difference can it make? Because he put an emphasis on that, on just how much of a difference it was. So I'm working on a story on Coach Tressler and how he started that program over at Edinburgh North. So that's kind of why if you're wondering how the heck does he know that, it's still fresh in my brain. And I was just working on it the other day, and I was talking with Coach Debbie Esparza on just some of the pioneers of softball in the Valley with Iris Iglesias.
Yes.
She's Andrea Villarreal from Westlaco, who started the program. Seen a couple of force plays here this afternoon.
Tables turn here. You got bases loaded again. This time for Brownsville.
And then, of course, Mario Rodriguez, really the second coach for Westlaco. Elias Martinez started the San Benito program. And, it's kind of like, if you were to put a Mount Rushmore of softball coaches, those pioneers would definitely be up there.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, Coach Esparza, Debbie, had told me that that's going to be a base hit.
Score.
1 run will score. Second run, play at the plate, safe. It's going to be a 2-run single from Kenya Ibarra. 2 runs come across to score. It's a 4-1 Rivera lead. 1993 is what Coach Mario Rodriguez was telling me that's when Westlaco started the program.
Wow.
Established. So they were the first softball program established in the Valley. In case you're wondering how that worked out. Forced play over at third for out number 3. I apologize, but I was born in '92. So when I thought about it, I was like, so softball in the Valley and myself are right about at the same age.
Man, you're old.
Thanks.
Just
Yeah, I know.
kidding.
Yeah, I know.
I'm older than you are.
I know. No, but seriously though, I was just like, wow. I was like, softball started in '93, and just listening to Debbie Esparza tell me those stories on when she was in the UIL meeting when they told them that softball was going to be a sport, is going to be sanctioned by the UIL, and it's like, okay, now, well, let's start a program.
There you go. That's digging back to the roots right there. That's a good history lesson there, especially for Valley softball. But like you mentioned, that Mount Rushmore, that definitely would be having big names up there.
So we're going to take a timeout up here. You're watching Real Sports Live. It's 4-1 Rivera with the lead on Real Sports Live.
Engineering. Sponsoring tonight's game is Platillo's Mexican Restaurant in Harlingen, located at 1010 South Loop 499. Platillo's Mexican Restaurant, where good people meet good food.
It's Truck Month at Hacienda Ford, and we're asking for your vote. Blue Truck stands for 4x4 off-roading, outdoor living at its best. Red Truck stands for hitting the job site with all your tools. It's the right truck for the working man. So where do you stand? Right now, you could lease the all-new, completely redesigned 2020 Ford Explorer for just $384 a month.
You have time to worry. We'll get you taken care of fast and easy. Now you can get back to your day with a healthy smile.
Thanks for watching Real Sports Live. Thanks for watching Real Sports Live.
Real Sports 5, number 1.
New 2020 Explorer. Vote Ford. Vote.
Welcome back to Rio Sports Live. Kevin Arrow joined by Lyford head coach Joey Rios. Just talking softball on a beautiful afternoon, Coach, and I think we couldn't have asked for much better weather.
You're right about that one. It's great, you know, being able to be out here and see the girls fly around and have fun and do what they enjoy.
Fonseca leading it off for the Lady Rattlers that pitch in for a called strike one. 2 balls, 1 strike the count. All the way here in Port Isabel. How long is it to drive from here to Lyford? Not too far?
On a bus, it's about an hour and 15.
An hour and 15, okay.
And we ran into that construction here.
Yes. So did I. Was wondering what the fuss was, and it happened to be right in front of the school. Not exactly sure what they're doing out there. Murillo now the batter. She's 0 for 1. Second trip to the plate, and what I noticed as the game was moving along with your game was we were in the 5th inning, and I think we were bottom half of the order, 7, 8, 9, or wherever we were. The batter only had 1 at bat. And I said, if it's a 5th inning and you've only had 1 at bat, that says something about the pitcher.
Yeah. Mia Weather Grove, you know, she's like I said, she's doing her job in there, and we, you know, want to take a look at definitely at Alex Cortez, another senior pitcher that we have on the squad. There's a shot right there. Ooh, good play.
Hunter's gonna have to quickly get back, and she does.
But yeah, as I mentioned, you know, just early on being able to see what we have, and you talking about depth, going back and, you know, giving her a look and giving her opportunities, not only her but other girls on the team as well, and taking advantage of the opportunity. When your name gets called, hey, step up and make a play. I thought she did well in the circle. She didn't do bad. Her job was to simply have girls put the ball on the ground or in the air, and defense make plays.
That pitch fouled off for strike 1. So, of course, nicknames are popular in baseball and softball. I know Jerky.
We call her Jerky. That's something her dad gave her. We have Mia Wettergrove. We call her Stinker.
Yes, that was gonna be my next question. What's behind the Stinker? Because I know when everything, her Twitter's Stinker. I hear way to go Stinker. I was like, Stinker.
I'm not sure of the full story, but I just know they call her Stinker. And Michaela Joe, we call her MJ.
MJ.
We just stick to her. Cruiser. Good shot.
Cruiser or Cruzy?
Yeah.
Because I know they see, a lot of people forget that they got to end in Y.
We have Hannah Garza. We call her Hanny. What else? We got Claire. We call her Sister.
Sister. Okay. Not bad.
Tiffy. We call Tiffany Tiffy.
Tiffy, there you go.
Everything in Y.
Yes, there you go. See, I love it. Perfect. That's how it is. Alyssa Silva now the batter. Runners on second and third for the Lady Rattlers. Coming right back at it. They trail 4-1. First pitch in for a called strike one. Silva reached on an error her first trip up. She got stranded on third. Big swing and miss.
Got runners in scoring position with 1 out.
That pitch missing for a ball. There's also some baseball going on. They got the Tarpons have a tournament they're hosting.
I saw that coming in. I was like, we're not the first ones here. That's the first.
Yeah,
But then it was baseball.
right.
So we were the first ones here.
You really were. And see, when I pulled up, nobody was here. And I'm like, it's at the high school, right? Because I think it was about an hour away from game time. And I was like, okay, this is just me just being early and set up shop real quick.
We take the same approach. It takes us, a while. Obviously, we got to take BP and then throw, and our pitchers catchers got to get going, and girls got to get dressed and get ready and do all those little things. But definitely try and stick to our agenda as best as possible.
A run's going to score. That's going to be an RBI single from Alyssa Silva. Lady Rattlers getting right back in the mix on the RBI. Maddox will slide over to first. Now Alexis Silva will come to the plate. So you're starting to see, Coach, the Astros have played in 7 games, and 5 times we've had our guys get plucked.
Yes.
I'm starting to, kind of think like, okay, this is starting to become a trend, and it's getting on my nerve, really. But
I see it as a free base.
you know what? You're right. So keep hitting us.
But at the same time, how many lumps can we take?
Yeah,
before we start
seriously.
getting hurt?
Seriously, and it's like, okay, I was talking with Brett Esparza. I was like, you know what, baseball needs to just forget about it. Like, it happened, the consequences came.
They owned up to it. Yeah,
They owned up to it, they apologized, but he's like, I got 2 words for you, Pete Rose. And I was like, oof, okay. I was like, I guess, Pete
He's
Rose.
a Hall of Famer.
I think he should be in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
But, and then, talk about the Black Sox, the
Yes.
Yankees, on steroids,
Mhm. The pitching with Pettit and Clemens,
and Barry Bonds,
Yeah.
and it's tainted for sure. I was always gonna have that little star next to
the
it,
asterisk.
the asterisk, yeah. But when you look at it, a lot of people think like, well, they won because of it. I don't think so. They, while I'm for sign stealing, that's a part of the game.
That's part of it.
I don't like the manner in which they did it. I thought that was
Correct.
a little much. But everyone does it. It's a part of the game. I know when I played, we had guys on the bench, specifically sitting there watching for signs. You pick up on the
duty,
signs.
Yeah.
Yeah, dugout duty, exactly. And a lot of people that aren't as involved in the game of baseball or not baseball people, they just see it as, oh, well, you're
They
cheating.
see it as cheating, absolutely.
But it's like everybody does it. The Astros just happen to get caught. And my thing is, while I appreciate, here's the thing on Mike Fiers. I don't know if I've told you this, but I see it both ways. One, where as a baseball guy like yourself, you'll understand where you can appreciate him willing to put his name through the mud for the sake of baseball, and say, I'm willing to put my name out there. I'm willing to take the heat, but for the game. Okay,
Correct.
great. That's cool. I get that. But at the same time, as a former player, you broke the golden rule. You talk about paying a lifetime of fees in the kangaroo court,
Yeah.
basically.
Especially, being on the same club, like, hey, those were your brothers at one point. I mean,
Right.
I understand you're trying to protect the game, and did it leave a black eye on it? Absolutely. But at the same time, hey, you were there. You were part of
Right.
it. What did you do then? If it was
Right.
really against your morals and your standards and everything you believe in, why didn't you say anything then?
Right, exactly. And another thing, don't say anything at all.
Or yeah.
So here's the
absolutely.
thing: he's with the Oakland Athletics. Do the Athletics trust him? Because I know for a fact they have their ways of.
And they did improve a lot over the year.
They have. The A's have been very good, but do the A's trust Mike Fiers with their dirty secrets? Because it's like, hey, are you gonna snitch on us too?
Double-edged sword right there.
Right. So it's like, okay, we can't tell this guy anything because we're not too sure if he's gonna snitch on us or not.
Mm-hmm.
But I see both sides because I love baseball, and
Absolutely.
Mike Fiers probably felt like, what, enough is enough. We can't, allow this to continue. And I thought, the Astros were made an example of
Mhm.
for all of baseball, really. And while some people, like Cody Bellinger, thought that the punishments were too light,
Yeah, but I mean,
what more?
Astros still played ball. I mean, they still had to go over there in Los Angeles. They still beat them over there, and they
Right.
still did little things right. I
Right.
mean, there was no sign stealing cameras there. I mean,
No.
we still beat them, what, 3 times over there?
3, yeah, games 2, 7, and 4. No.
I'm not exactly sure.
Twice.
I know it wasn't 5 because I was at Game 5, and that was
Ye-
an amazing game.
Yeah, that was our next conversation. I know they won. They lost game 1. They won game 2. That was the Marwin home run.
Mm-hmm.
Then game 3 went to Houston. They won game 3. They lost game 4. They won game 5. So they won twice in LA.
I think so. I mean,
Games-
but
yeah.
even then, you still got to go over there.
Yeah.
And Bellinger didn't hit.
He didn't. That was the most frustrating part. He was lucky if he batted his weight that series. So it's like, whatever, man. And for Correa to come out and defend Altuve like that,
Yeah, that's.
I thought that said everything. And just to clear his name up, that Altuve did not partake in the trash can deal. Just says a lot about him. Of course, we're Astro fans, but again, I see both sides, and
no,
I
that's
can
the truth, and we're sticking to it.
and I can appreciate what Fiers did, but at the same time, it's like a big no-no.
Yeah, and like I said, if he really wanted to stick to his guns and it was really against his morals and his standards, like he could have said something. I mean, then,
But
or,
would-
hey guys, this isn't right. Hey, we need to figure something out. Hey, we're doing this, but you know what? Maybe it's not right. Maybe we shouldn't go to this extreme. Let's utilize it this way, or
Right.
whatever the case is.
But did you see what David Ortiz said?
I
think
did.
last week. So
I did.
it's to your point. Like if you didn't like it then, why didn't you say anything then? So I don't know what's worse. If you didn't say anything then.
Did he complain when he got his ring? Did he,
Oh well, that's another thing that made me upset. I'm like, oh, he took the ring real quick.
the money?
The money, obviously, right? It's like, hey, give that ring back. But you're still talking about a team that's, everyone's back offensively.
Mm-hmm.
There's just obviously some questions in the
Lost a couple of prospects, but
right.
it's-
You have Verlander and Greinke in exchange.
Mhm.
You have those for the next couple of years. Giselle Salinas, the batter, with a pretty good at bat here. Bases loaded for the Lady Rattlers. They have 2 runs across the board. They trail 4-2. 2 down in the inning. Just talking a little bit about the Astros and what they're doing and what happened in the past. And spring training's underway, and the plan is to. I'm hoping I can be there for opening day at the end of March.
That'd be a good catch. Ooh,
He's
got
going
it.
to be out at first on a bang play for out number 3. So again, Coach, the bases were loaded, and both defenses finding their ways to wiggle out of jams.
Yeah.
We head to the top half, or rather the bottom of the 3rd.
Brownsville's coming up.
So the plan is to be there for opening day, but I remember you did go to Game 5.
I did.
Whew.
My wife and I were able to make that. That was an experience in itself. Oh, talk about the beginning of the game just kind of being demoralizing. Like, oh man, we're down 4. What was I thinking? Okay, I'm here. I'm the jinx. It's my fault. And then slowly we get picked back up, and we're coming back around, and we come back, and it's just homer after homer after homer, and it was just amazing to see them, scratch their way back and fight for and go in extras. Like that was an experience, and having been a part of that and seen it, live firsthand, and just the atmosphere is so loud, so crazy. The support that Houston has, like it was next level.
Yeah, that Gurriel home run it's always gonna be like wow, just the call, the play, and just how quickly they got back into it, and then Altuve's home run off Maeda. I hit just about where you were at, left center.
Yeah, left center. It was slightly more to my right, but it was a bomb.
3-2, 2 outs, and then you had of course McCann's home run, Correa's home run.
McCann, that's right.
McCann's home run, and then of course the walk off from Bregman,
Yep.
off Kenley Jansen, and scored Derek Fisher. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps now, and I still get goosebumps. And the funny thing is that there's two parts of the story. Is that my sister and I will still go back and watch Game 5 highlights.
And rightfully so.
But the funny thing is we don't ever watch Game 7 highlights. We just go straight to Game 5, and we just relive that whole day. And I remember that day the Cowboys were playing the Redskins at 3:30, and the Astros they had that Sunday night game.
Who remembers a Cowboys game, Kevin? Come on.
I do.
I'm sorry.
I do. I'm a Cowboys fan. And I remember I'm like, okay, the Cowboys need to not stress me out and win comfortably because I know the Astros have Game 5, a super important game with Kershaw on the mound.
Oh, that pitching matchup was just amazing.
Right. It was Keuchel and Kershaw. So then the Cowboys end up winning. I remember Orlando Skandrick had like a pick six or something like that, or Byron Jones. And I remember it was a comfortable win. I was like, okay, great. So I was at my uncle's house, and I got out of my Elliott jersey and threw on my Astro shirt. And I'm like, we're ready to go. And then that game in itself, just everything that happened, just the emotions and ups and downs. And my parents are both teachers, and it was a Sunday night, so they wound up going to bed about the 6th, 7th inning. But my sister and I stayed up that whole night, and we just remember being a part of it, just how crazy it was. And my sister always jokes, and she's like, I was so exhausted after that game, I just went straight to bed. Like, I laid down and I knocked out. Because I was so tired.
You're telling me I drove back to make football practice that Monday afternoon.
Oh wow, yeah. So exactly. So you know what we're talking about, how tired you were, and so the second funny story is that you actually invited me.
I did.
That time.
I sure did.
And I was like, dang it. I was like,
summer game, and I said, hey, I'm going out, and then you said, hey, I'm going out, and I was like, oh man. And being able to go to that, I was like, hey, I'm going. As soon as we beat the Yankees, I was actually at a wedding. Waiting, watching the game, and game was over. We bought our tickets, and I said, hey, I'm going.
Yeah. No, so you told me, hey, I got a spot for you. All you got to do is just hop in the car and let's go.
Yes, sir.
And I was like, well, I had the money to do it. I mean, I'd have been broke for maybe about a month or two, but I'm like, I can do it. But the big brother in me was like, I can't leave my sister.
Yeah.
I was like, I'd hate to go without you, and it happened to be the greatest game ever. And so she's like, man, I'm sorry. Like, you should have just gone without me. Like, it would have been okay. And my mom's like,
wouldn't have been the same.
Yeah, it would have been the same. But my mom was like, dude, you should have just gone. Like, oh, well. I'm like, no. I'm like, because that year, her and I go to a lot of games together. And that year we went to maybe about 6 or 7 games.
There you go.
So we went to a ton of games. So it was that little bond we had. I'm like, I can't go without you. Like, we'll stay here and watch the game. So then the following year, they win the World Series, and then I go to opening day.
That's right. I remember that.
I go to opening day when they played the Orioles, when they had the unveiling of the pennant. So I invited everybody. I'm like, here's an open invitation. If you guys want to come with me, cool. If you don't, well, I'm gonna be there. So I got my seat, and I ended up going by myself. What I did was I went to College Station with my family. And then I went, down over to Houston for the game, and they had a block party, and they had the banner and everything, and it was a beautiful thing. And my sister's like, okay, like, are we even now? Because you missed Game 5. I said, yeah, sort of. Like, this kind of makes up for it, I've always wanted to go to opening day, and I was able to make it that year. And then it just made it sweeter with the pennant unveiling. That's going to be a base hit.
Yeah, definitely a great experience, I'm sure, being around that. And, of course, we're both Astros fans, so it means more to us than everybody else.
Right. No, yeah, it was great. So then we she kind of never let it go because then we went to the game 2 of the ALCS this year when they played the Yankees. And that game was crazy. That's when we had the Carlos Correa walk-off.
Yes.
And that game was crazy in itself. And, of course, we're there losing our minds. And when we were leaving the game, she told me again, she's like, okay, are we even? Does that make up for you missing game 5?
She knew the importance of it.
And I was like, no, we're good. I was like, that was awesome. She's like, it wasn't a game 5 crazy, but that game was crazy, being able to see them win like that. But we're definitely excited, and we're a baseball family.
It's going to be an interesting season, that's for sure. It's going to see how much hate our Astros are going to get. But
Seriously.
I mean, I guess you could say we're manning up to it.
They did, and I know them hiring Dusty Baker, I thought was the right hire. A guy who's been there, done that.
He's been around several ball clubs, making different culture changes here and there, and definitely being able to flip programs around. I mean, granted, our Astros program is where it needs to be, but stepping in for the managerial purposes, I think he can definitely set a few things straight or iron out a couple of kinks here and there and do the right things.
Right, and Dusty Baker is, I believe he's now he's in the top 3 of most wins by an active manager. If not, he's has the most wins as far as active manager goes.
Well, he's been around for a while, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's been around for a while, and he had those teams with the Giants, with Bonds, Kent, and Snow, and the World Series kind of always eluded him, and then he went to the Nationals, or he was with the Cubs for a long time when the Astros were in the Central. I was a fan of him there, and he was also with the Reds. Spent a little bit of time with the Cincinnati Reds, and then with the Washington Nationals, I felt that they won 90 games both years he was there, and I felt that they were in the right spot. I just thought the problem was Bryce Harper.
Yep.
Apparently that was correct via this year, ironically. But I'd always been a Dusty Baker fan. Ever since I was a kid, I enjoyed what he did, and having them hire him on board, and really just a clean slate as far as the baseball mind goes. And he's an old school guy, so there won't be any funny business when it comes to any kind of.
Yeah, he definitely honors and respects the game, and I'm sure so does everybody else. And they knew they were wrong, but girl got hit by a foul ball over there. But he's definitely going to make things right and go from there.
And he's motivated.
Yes.
He's motivated to win a World Series. He hasn't done that.
That he has for the game,
right?
And seeing the type of ball club he's taken over and the opportunities that he's given, he's definitely going to take advantage of it. There's a shot.
It's going to fall right into the glove of the right fielder for out number 3. So it's still a 4-2 game. Rivera with the lead. This game's still kind of hanging in the balance. 90 minutes, right?
Yes, sir.
And one
90
thing
minutes, finish the inning.
Finish the inning. See, I like that because I know at the Mission fast pitch,
it was drop dead.
Drop dead, and I know that can get frustrating for some coaches. It's
especially trying to get all the girls in, and at the same time, hey, they put the same work in just as much as the starters do, and having role players and things like that. As a coach, trying to be able to get everybody in there is definitely important. And like I said, when the opportunity presents itself, they got to, take advantage of it. It's part of, getting us to district play and figuring out where we're at and setting teams, varsities and JVs and distinguishing that, and then stick to our guns and go from there.
On the top of the 4th inning, Brownsville Rivera and the Sharyland Lady Rattlers. Let's see what's checking on.
Any word on the other field from Los Fresnos?
I don't have a score from Los Fresnos. I was gonna check the schedule right now. 2 o'clock. We're gonna have Port Isabel and Sinton.
It's gonna be a good matchup.
Yes, sir. And then you all and Lyford, or
Sharyland.
you all and Sharyland at 4. And then we're gonna wrap it up there with the 4 o'clock game. Then tomorrow, we'll both go to Los Fresnos, kicking things off with Rio Hondo Sinton at 10, Los Fresnos Sharyland at 12, Lyford Rio Hondo at 2, Sharyland Sinton at 4, and then Los Fresnos and Lyford at 6. You guys got your work cut out for you.
Sounds like a great day of softball.
Yes, it does, and again, just with the quality of teams that were able to come down here. Who are the two that dropped out that's been replaced by Divine and I don't know.
That is a great San Antonio Memorial. They were here last year,
Okay.
and I'm not sure who the other is. I do know San Antonio Memorial was here because we played them here last year on that Saturday morning.
Nonetheless, plenty of softball on tap. And of course, like I mentioned, we're not done yet. We're going to have tomorrow and Saturday. Saturday, I haven't exactly mapped it out yet. I know you guys play Sinton Saturday, right?
Yes, sir. We are here.
That's one of the bigger games on the slate. 1 ball, 1 strike. And then we jump right back in. Do you guys play Tuesday?
Tuesday we do. We have Edinburgh High. They are coming to us in Lyford.
Okay, Coach out of Seba.
Yes. We got to see him out at the Mission Tournament. I like the things he's doing with this program, being able to definitely work with what he's got. He's big on his small ball game.
Yeah. That's something that we're seeing a lot of as Gonzalez gets aboard on a leadoff single. A lot of coaches really implementing this small ball technique and seeing the teams that have made it to Austin have all implemented the softball or the small ball technique.
That's definitely something in our arsenal, something we always try and work. You got to see it with Mia Wettergrove there.
Mm-hmm.
We were tagging pitches left and right for a while, and then she comes up and just lays one down after Alyssa hits a triple and clears the bases, and
Right.
we come back up and she lays one down.
Yeah, it's a change of pace, and that just speaks to your lineup. And you did it against Rio Hondo where it was, I believe, 3-0 for a good while, and then it just takes that one big inning for your bats to wake up and really one swing. And for me, it was that bases clearing triple that really put the game out of reach.
Yes, sir. But we try and do our best with it, and we definitely work it. We know bunting is an art, but like you said earlier, talk about pitching definitely being a big factor, especially moving on to the round 4 and 5. We got to be able, if we can't hit it, we're going to have to find a way to put it in play one way or another, and that small ball is the answer.
Coach Joey Rios joining us here on Rural Sports Live. Head coach of the Lyford Lady Bulldogs. I want to thank Reliable Electric Company. Tutu Gonzalez came by earlier. Napa Auto and Truck Parts. And City Taxi Cabs in Port Isabel and South Padre Island. That pitch in the dirt. The runner on first. City Cabs securing the whole Laguna Madre area from Laguna Vista, Port Isabel, South Padre Island. Clean, prompt, and courteous. If you ever need a taxi, coach.
Yeah.
We're here on the island, on the Port Isabel area. That pitch missing for a ball 4. You like to fish, Coach? I know Coach Wise, every other day he's out fishing.
He sure does, and he also takes some good pictures. Have you ever seen his work before?
I have.
He's got some
He's
good photography skills. I do a little fishing, mainly summertime when my schedule allows me. Keep in mind I do still coach 3 sports.
yes, yeah, small
Varsity
school, yeah.
Middle school basketball and varsity softball. So my time is very limited, and I'm intentional with my time. And then now having a newborn, 4-month-old, definitely.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you, appreciate that. Definitely keeps that up, and so I'm just intentional with the time that I have, and I definitely am a family man. So definitely love to be around the family.
Yeah, if I could fish every weekend, I would. That's one thing I do love to do that kind of falls beneath the cracks with work, and then, the weekend comes and I just want to hang out. And of course during football season, Sundays I always joke with my mom and I'll tell her, Sunday is made for the Cowboys, and she's like, no, it's church.
You're right.
It's like, I'm just kidding.
She's right.
I'm just kidding. I go, it's church, and then after that it's football. She's
Yes,
like, okay.
football,
She's
not
like,
Cowboys
okay.
Football, it's just football.
Oh boy. New pitcher in the game for Brownsville Rivera, Bethany Guzman. She comes into the circle. Runners on first and second. Nobody out here in the top of the 4th inning. And then, of course, football season is its own monster in itself
Yes.
for all of us, really. For the media point of view, from the coach's point of view, you rest up in the summer, and then by the time you know it, you have your 7-on-7 in June. You kind of get a little taste of it, and then
Well, now with the new UAL rules, you're allotted your time, and that definitely opens up for your strength and conditioning programs and things like that. So, being given that hour or those hours it's crucial for us. It definitely it sets the tempo for the season. That gives everybody an opportunity to get ahead of the curve and go from there. So our hours are directed towards that.
Yeah, it's
So our
brutal.
summer is getting a little shorter, but at the same time with the right intentions and the kids, obviously love it. I mean, I know per se they're not my personal kids, but being a coach, I mean they're all mine. I love them all the same, and it's important, seeing them grow and go through the good, the bad, and the ugly, and seeing them grow, especially on the gridiron. We know it ain't easy there, but they stick to it and they push through. It's great to see.
Yeah, and you guys put together a pretty good season. I think that was some of Coach Izzy Gonzalez's best work, because you guys were decimated by injuries. And, of course, the
Early
big
on.
the big one started with, of course, Caleb Klosterman. And I ran into Izzy, at Jerica's signing
Okay.
a couple weeks ago, and, he felt, and I'm sure you did too, a lot of people felt that he was in for a breakout year.
He sure
And
was.
he's only just a junior, just unfortunate, that he had that injury. And I got to catch up with him at the Brandon Garza.
Oh yeah, I saw
He
that.
had he had a training, a quarterback academy, and
Big shout out to Brandon for doing that, man. It's important to come back and give back to the valley. That's very humbling, big hearted right there. That's a lot of love to that guy.
yeah, no, he's definitely doing a great job. The former Cardinal quarterback, and he's done work from because he's based in San Antonio, and then he's had some games, or not some games, but some lessons in the Coastal Bend area. But then it just means so much more to him to be home,
Yes.
and then being able to be home in Harlingen. So he definitely loves giving back to the community. And I didn't know that Caleb was going to be there. So when I seen him out there, I thought it was great to see him throwing the ball and moving around, because I remember how bad the injury was. And
Yeah.
he mentioned that he had to stop playing basketball.
He sure did, and the injury within itself, I thought it messed with him mentally a little bit, and he was, contemplating, hey, I got to get right, and you can see him a little passive. Of course, after any injury, so, I mean, everybody's going to do it, but seeing him, progress through it, it's been great, and seeing him throw the ball around, that's always a good sight, knowing that, hey, you got him back on the field and being the leader that he is, it definitely helps.
I don't think there's another Klosterman in the pipeline, is there? Did it have a younger brother?
I want to say it's a cousin, or it may be a little brother, Jalen. I'm not sure if it's a brother or cousin, but there is a Jalen Klosterman. He'll be in 7th grade next year.
Okay, so there's one more Klosterman coming up. I know Lane was fun to watch.
Yeah, he's doing great. He's still out there at OLU. He's playing ball.
Yeah, they got Coach Agni up there. Of course, he was at Harlingen, and then Rio Hondo's Cross Gonzalez is out there as well. This is a high pop-up, should be playable. That's out number 2. Two down in the inning, 2 runners on. Maddox comes to the plate. Now time called on the field. So when coaches call time like this, I've always wondered what the conversation would be. It's a 2-run game. It's 2 outs. Coaches meeting. What normally happens here?
Well, I'd like to think I'm a little different on my approach. Obviously,
That's okay.
Obviously getting down to the girls' level and seeing eye to eye and me being transparent with them, it's a big thing for us. And sometimes we get caught up in the hoopla and the noise and the chat of the situation. It's like, hey, relax. This is what we got. We got a runner on second, runner on first and second, 2 outs. Hey, we're okay. We're gonna do this, that, or the other. We're gonna try to put the ball on the ground. Obviously, we're not gonna serve up a fatty or anything, but relax. It's not all on you. You got 7, 8 other girls behind you that are willing to make plays for you. So just relax. And you know, and the other girls will come out and say, hey, we got you. And just, you know, being able to hear that and see that, that helps them. But we definitely try and slow it down for them and just put things into perspective for them and not blow it up any bigger than it is.
Oh, Maddox, the batters, reached on a base hit her first trip up, reached on an error back in the second inning, and a run scored. So runners on first and second, 2 down in the inning. Guzman, the pitcher, fires that one low and in for ball 1. Gonzalez on second, Garcia on third, or rather, Gonzalez on second, Garcia on first. Ground ball to the shortstop, over the glove and into left field.
They're sending her. She's right on the corner.
He's going to come around and score. That's when you come, is that a hit, an error? That's really just comes down to.
I don't think she touched that. Took a bad hop and went straight over her.
So you score that as a hit. Yeah, it just comes down to pretty much a judgment call. So now runners on the corners for Sharyland. Alyssa Silva at the plate. Reached on an RBI single in the third inning. Reached on an error back in the second.
The meat of their lineup. They got a clean-up batter.
Sharyland right back in it in a 1-run game. Tying runs on third.
Base hit can score 2 here.
Another ground ball to the shortstop. Deep in the hole. Over to first and in time. What a clutch play by the shortstop. That was a big-time play, and that was not an easy play to make when you're deep in the hole
On her heels.
like that. Yeah. Lezama making the play for out number 3. The tying run was on third. It's a 4-3 game. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to get a timer. I'm not sure. We're at 1:35 on my watch.
I want to say they started about 10, 15 after.
You guys went 4 innings. This game's heading into the 5th. So we should be reaching the ending point,
Should be coming up pretty soon.
more or less. You know, and you're talking about Valley softball and where it's at, and it's unfortunate that there aren't too many small schools, especially in the Upper Valley. I don't think there's any at all.
Well,
As far as 3As and
we did get a couple of new schools to join our district. I think we have Brownsville Jubilee. We also have Brownsville Harmony. And I think next year, there's another idea that is looking to get into the district as well. So that's going to be interesting to see where that goes. But as far as, your smaller schools, you have San Perlita, La Sara, La Villa. And I think after that, that's it.
yeah.
They play up in that other district. They play Benavides. Who else is in that district? Awalusino, their next level up.
First pitch in for a called strike 1. 9-1-2 the order due up. Nelly Saldivar leading things off for Brownsville Rivera. That's a foul ball for strike 2. Saldivar is 0 for 1, struck out in the third, walked and scored a run in the second inning. Again, bottom of the order, then back to the top of the order with Bethany Guzman leading things off. Okay, I'm going to have to get my eyes checked. That's number 10. I'm sorry. We're second in the order. My eye vision is not good at all. That was number 10, Rochelle Guerra.
Got number 13 up.
Now Ariana Lezama will come to the plate. I apologize. And I noticed it during football season When normally my eyes are good when I can see the scoreboard, the giant football scoreboard. When I had to start squinting and to see the score, and then I noticed it in basketball season. I'm really gonna need to get my eyes checked here sometime sooner rather than later. So 2, 3, 4, the order due up.
It's a good drop ball right there.
Zama 1 for 2 on the afternoon. A double and a run scored in the first, and grounded out in the second inning. On top of that, Coach, I'm also colorblind, so it doesn't really help. But Rivera, I know they're wearing black and white, so hard shot.
Yanked on that one.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that, but I am. I get some colors mixed up. That's why when I'm always at basketball games, I'll ask. If I have a question, I'll ask. If I don't know the color for sure, I'll like, what colors are the uniforms? And they'll tell me. Popped up to right field, making the grab for out number 2 is Gonzalez. 2 down in the inning. Here comes Kenya Ibarra. She's 2 for 2. 2 RBIs, a double in the first, and a single in the second inning. Pitch swung on, foul. For strike 1. So you guys gonna hang around and watch the Sinton game next?
We are. We don't plan on going too far. We're gonna camp out and watch softball and wait for our number to be drawn.
The 0-1 swung on, popped up, and a 1-2-3 inning. It's exactly what the Lady Rattlers needed. We're going to take a quick timeout. You're watching Rio Sports Live.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Castillo. I invite you to visit San Benito and see for yourself the many things this community has to offer. Our offices of economic development offer a variety of business resources to developers, investors, and business owners from small to large scale. Contact us and let us work together on your next business opportunity.
At First Community Bank, we believe in small business.
When Jennifer and Jimmy Wilson started Wild August Nursery and Flower Farm, they found Ricky Leal at First Community Bank had the financing to help them grow.
Make FCB your bank.
Music lovers, you have to stop and see the assortment of records, tapes, and records memorabilia at Forever Memories today. Located at 237 North Sam Houston in San Benito, Texas, there's over 10,000 records on display and more coming every day. Looking for your favorite album from the past, first pressings, collectibles, how about a 45 with a single you just have to have? Freddie Fender, Johnny Cash, Hank Williams, Elvis, Beatles, blues, rock, classics, Tejano, it's all here. Organized and priced for you. Forever Memories, 237 North Sam Houston, San Benito.
Sponsoring tonight's game is Casa Engineering Civil and Structural Associates. Located at 1117 Stewart Place Road in Harlingen, sponsoring tonight's game is Casa Engineering. Sponsoring tonight's game is Platillos Mexican Restaurant in Harlingen, located at 1010.
So shout out to Coach Joey Rios, who just joined us on the broadcast. He's going to send one of his kiddos over. We'll have a chat with one of the players. First pitch in for a called strike one. So it's a 4-3 game. Bottom half of the 5th inning. Sharyland with an opportunity here to take the lead. They left runners on. That pitch in for a called strike two. Guzman, the pitcher, in the circle. Yesenia Rojas, the batter, leading things off for the Lady Rattlers. That pitch high for ball one. 1 ball, 2 strikes. One, two on the way from Guzman. Rojas takes that pitch in for a called strike three. One down in the inning and a strikeout for Guzman. So a shout out to Coach Joey Rios, who joined us. Pretty healthy conversation, just talking about softball in the Valley, and we went on talking about how softball got here and the pioneers of the game here in the Valley, and of course talked a little bit about some baseball. So thank you for Coach Rios. Thank you to Coach Rios for joining us. That pitch missing low and in for ball one. Of course, Bert Ruiz, he's still in his jacket and got his hoodie on too. Got his hood on. Again, it's not as cold as it was a couple of hours ago. That pitch upstairs for ball two. 2 balls, no strikes. Now Guzman in the circle. Port Isabel warming up here to our left. Two-0 misses low and in for ball three. 3 balls, no strikes. To the batter, Fonseca. That pitch high and away, ball 4. Fonseca draws the walk with 1 down in the inning. Rojas went down on the strikeout. First pitch in for a called strike one. Giselle Salinas, the batter, reached on a fielder's choice and got stranded on second in the second inning, then grounded out to third in the third inning. Swing and a miss for strike two, and Guzman and the Lady Raiders looking to make some noise in District 32 6A this year. And again, it's a tough district. It's a tough district that a lot of folks are starting to pay a little bit more attention to Harlingen High and what they're doing out there with their hot start to the season. And of course you have San Benito, who's won the district the last 2 years. And then you have Harlingen South, who made the Sweet 16 last year, went 3 deep the year before, and made the Sweet 16 the year prior to that. So that's a team that's a district that's loaded. And then again, you talk about Los Fresnos and what they're doing and them making the playoffs last year. Of course, they lost in the first round to Weslaco, but again, having an athlete like Reba Reyes. Called strike three. Makes life a little easier if you're a coach. 2 down in the inning. 2 strikeouts for Guzman. Marisol Gonzalez will now come to the plate. So we have a Lady Bulldog on the way. We're going to talk some softball. Two down in the inning. Runner on first. Guzman delivers that pitch outside for ball one. How's it going? We're being joined by Alyssa Garcia, the second baseman for the Lyford Lady Bulldogs. So, Miss Garcia joining us here out in center field. How's the tournament going so far? You guys had that first game. Guys got the jitters out a little bit?
Yeah, I went pretty good. Started off a little rough, but just getting back into it just as a team.
You guys, I see you had that play, that diving catch over at second. Talk to me about that play.
Really just another play that you see pretty much every day that we work on. You see the ball and you go for it.
It's in for a called strike one. 2 balls, 1 strike. You're a junior? A sophomore. So you're a part of this young group. Just talk about, you know, the younger girls on the team and how you're taking in all the senior leadership from the older girls that have been there before, and how are the younger girls feeding off of all that?
I mean, we've been playing together for the longest time since we were younger. We're all a very close group of girls, and I think we play well together. We mesh, and I think the leadership behind like all of it with Jerica and Jessica, it really helps out and really guides us through the season.
You and Hannah probably, arguably the most athletic middle infielders in the area. So just talk about the athleticism that you and Hannah bring and the connection that you guys have up the middle.
I mean, again, we've been playing for years together, and we've grown. We've become best friends, and just the connections there. We've worked together. We practice together. We just know each other like the back of our hand.
So I'm gonna go on a limb here. You do play travel ball, right?
Yes.
Force?
Yes.
Okay, I figured. Okay, is that what you're talking about? You know, just the chemistry you guys build throughout the off season in travel ball?
Yeah, it's been like that for years.
You know, one thing that Coach Rios and I were talking about is that softball is a very small world to where you know girls on different teams, and just talk about that and just the relationships you have with girls across the valley.
It's just a great experience. You create lifelong friends, and just being able to see other girls at games and tournaments, and being able to see something familiar throughout the season, it really helps out.
How did your off season go with Force?
It went pretty good. We went to a bunch of showcases and camps, got a lot of good looks, and really just got in the work that we need for now.
So for people that don't know, softball is a year-round sport for you.
Yes.
So what is it easier playing this time of year or in June? Shot right back to Guzman. She'll make the catch for out number 3. That's going to be the ball game. So we're going to talk with you just for a little bit longer. Just wrap this one up here. That's the final score, 4-3. Brownsville Rivera picks up the win. So yeah, so just talk about was it harder to play now or in the summer? What is it?
I mean, here it's a little bit easier. I mean, it's a little laid back. We're pretty much all set with the girls. In the summer, it's more preparing and just trying to get out there.
And do you ever rest? Would you have an off season more or less?
Not really. Like a few days or a few weeks after season or whatever. Just keeps going.
But it's go, go, go. All right, we're joined by Alyssa Garcia, sophomore second baseman for the Lyford Lady Bulldogs. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Good luck later this afternoon. Final score from Port Isabel, Brownsville Rivera 4, Sharyland 3. Up next, we have Port Isabel and Sinton. Don't go away. You're watching Rio Sports Live.
Platillos Mexican Restaurant, where good people meet good food.
It's Truck Month at Hacienda Ford, and we're asking for your vote. Blue Truck stands for 4x4 off-roading, outdoor living at its best. Red Truck stands for hitting the job site with all your tools.